It is Friday, March 20th, 2020, and you are tuned into DIRTRACKR Daily. I'm Justin Fiedler. If you're watching the show, Facebook, YouTube, might look a little different today. I made some changes to kind of my setup here in the office. I felt like it was a little weird looking at the side of my face, so I've kind of made some moves and moved the camera around, moved the microphone around, so now you can actually see me face on. Maybe this will be a little bit better. So let me know if you hate this or not, or if you'd like me to switch it back. Maybe you like looking at the side of my face. Let me know what you think there. I wanted to get into a couple of things, kind of talk about the some entertainment options for the weekend, and then a couple of other things, something I watched last night. But I wanted to start off with this kind of curious case of Lancaster Speedway down in South Carolina. Earlier in the week, they announced that they were not going to race this weekend. One of many tracks that wasn't going to race based on concerns over coronavirus. That was early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, and then by Wednesday they post on Facebook that they are going to race, that they had spoken with some local officials, and that if they raced, they would not be breaking the law. And so a couple of news stories popped up. I know Speed 51 talked about it, and a couple of other local stories talked about it, where they talked to the local sheriff's office and the county manager, and they basically said that the governor's order to not have large gatherings was basically just for public spaces, and that because the racetrack was on public property, they couldn't stop them from racing. So the race was going to continue, and it brought up a lot of social media chatter and like I said, some news stories and things. But now, as of this morning, that after all of this discussion and the press and stuff around the event, the racetrack has again made the decision to cancel the race for the weekend. And I think it's interesting to kind of take a look at this as a case study of how things are right now. A week ago, we had people, cheering and celebrating when the Pennsylvania governor said that he would not stop Central Pennsylvania from racing. But then shortly after that, most of the racetracks end up canceling anyway. When racetracks and series were canceling events, especially early on, there were lots of upset folks. Now a week later, we've got a situation where racetrack says they are going to race, and then public pressure has kind of flipped the other way, and it's like, no, you shouldn't be racing. This is the wrong thing to do. So interesting to take a look at this and see kind of how things flip back and forth. And it's just, again, a reminder of how far we've come just, in a few days' time, in a week's time. To kind of how people are perceiving these situations. But in the end, it's the right move to not race. And I think if folks had gotten sick from this, I'm sure track officials would have regretted running that. So the right move, and obviously, not something any of us want. Obviously, we would all like to be racing. But this was the right decision, and glad to see that they came around on this. And there will be plenty of opportunities here coming up to race. I checked out the first USAC Thunder Relived on Flow Racing last night. They played the Mopar Million from Eldora in 2003. They had Levi Jones, who actually I believe was in the race, Richie Murray, and Kirk Spridgen. They jumped in and do some extra commentary around the race. I think it was really neat to watch. My involvement personally in dirt racing didn't really start until 2013 when I went to work for the World of Outlaws. Before that, obviously, I knew about dirt racing. My dad was a dirt racer and things like that. I obviously knew about the World of Outlaws and all of those other things. But I hadn't, I wasn't so heavily involved that I would have watched the Mopar Million. So this was something I hadn't seen before. And after watching the show, I think it's interesting that what was supposed to be this huge non-wing event turned into two guys known effectively for winged racing take the top two spots, with Jack Hodenshield winning and Stevie Smith finishing second. I know some people, I had tweeted about this last night, and some people were saying that Jack isn't necessarily known as just a winged guy, but I think most people know Jack as having been a World of Outlaws competitor and mostly a winged sprint car guy, and I think even with his experience across other stuff, I think that's I would say his the description around him, or the what you would call him, he's more of a winged guy anyway, but that you had these two guys that are mostly wing guys, and if Twitter would have kind of been a big deal back then, I can't imagine what the tweets would have looked like with two winged guys taking those two spots in a race that was $200,000 to win. But pretty neat show. Multi-day event. They had 138 cars qualify. They ran 10 heat races and all the way back to an F main. A lot of drivers, a lot of big name guys, some kind of who's who guys of sprint car racing, over the last couple of decades here were in that show. And even some guys like close to the company I work for, Mike Hess, who's the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series race director, he was in that show. Somebody mentioned Casey Schumann being in that show, and he actually tweeted about it last night that he put the whole thing on a credit card and knew he was outmanned and outgunned, but just wanted to show up and race. So he was in that show, but lots of names in that show. It was pretty neat to watch. The next race that they're going to do for the Thunder Relived is this Saturday night at 8 p.m. They're live again on Flow. They'll be showing the 1987 USAC Sprint Car race from Santa Fe Speedway. This was the first ever dirt USAC Sprint Car race aired live on the Thursday Night Thunder program, so that'll be a cool one. So we'll check that out again on Saturday. Some other entertainment options for the weekend. Starting tonight, Dirt Vision is having their first watch party starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. They're going to be showing a bunch of Williams Grove and Attica shows. First up, I'll run you kind of through here all the races they're going to show. First up is the 1998 Spring Classic from Williams Grove, followed by the 2005 Brad Doty Classic at Attica. Then the World of Outlaws late model show from last season at Williams Grove. They're going to show the 2013 National Open, followed by the 2018 Brad Doty Classic, again from Attica, and then the 2019 National Open. These shows are all included in your Fast Pass order. The entire night can be purchased for only $4.99 if you'd like to buy a single-day show. They're going to do the same thing again on Sunday. They're going to do some California shows starting at 4 p.m. Eastern in the afternoon. They're going to show the 2019 Gold Cup, the 1996 Western World, Thunder Bowl from 2018, 2005 show from Bakersfield, and then last year's 2019 race from Placerville, the 49er Gold Rush Classic that Brad Sweet promoted. And then to top it all off, they're going to show a 2017 race from Keller Auto Speedway. So both nights, Friday and Sunday, several hours of racing that you can catch on Dirt Vision. Again, part of your Fast Pass, or you can purchase single-day shows for $4.99. Not dirt racing, but something else I wanted to point out, especially since we've been talking about virtual racing and iRacing and some of the other entertainment options, some of the other things you can watch while we're kind of all stuck in the house. Sunday is going to be the big NASCAR Pro Invitational iRacing event. They are showing on Fox Sports 1. They did make that move. Coverage starts at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. They're going to have all of the normal names commentating and things like that. They're going to run a 100-lap show at Homestead. Drivers include Dale Jr., Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Bobby Labonte, some guys with some dirt connections, Larson, Christopher Bell, Stenhouse, Clint Boyer, and a lot of other guys, who are NASCAR drivers. I think it'll be a pretty cool deal. If you had a chance to check out the race last weekend, I would imagine it'll be kind of something similar to that. I will definitely be checking it out. I'm curious to kind of see how these go and see the kind of reception that it gets, being as how it'll be on Fox Sports 1 and kind of available to a much larger audience. So excited to check that out, and it's like I mentioned yesterday, it's an interesting time right now with obviously not as much racing going on in the real world. This is a way for folks to kind of still keep up, and it's something where you really can't see this for other sports. Obviously, esports exists for the NBA and Madden communities and things like that with the NFL, but to actually have actual drivers competing against each other is kind of unique to motorsports, I think, and this is a cool time to kind of see how this goes. I think an interesting experiment and something to keep folks entertained while things are kind of not looking so hot around us, but definitely be tuning in. And then in the meantime, I'm going to continue doing a bunch of work on DIRTRACKR. I like to get a bunch more races added to the analytics section, but I want to kind of start messing around with the DIRTRACKR app. I think I've mentioned that on here before. Something I want to do is have an app for DIRTRACKR and have folks be able to access the site and the analytics and all that type of stuff through an app. But if you're interested in helping me out with the app, I would love for some people at some point to jump in and maybe do some testing for me and make sure things work across platforms and devices and things like that. If you're interested at some point in getting involved, maybe drop me an email or shoot me a Twitter DM or something like that and let me know if you're interested in doing that. Would love to get some feedback from people on that and try to make that as good as possible. That's it for the show today. You can find DIRTRACKR Daily on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or where you get podcasts. Please subscribe, leave me a review, tell your friends. You can also watch the show on YouTube and Facebook. I appreciate everybody that's been doing that. And again, Let me know what you think about the new video setup. You can email the show at info@dirttracker.com. If you'd like to follow along with Dirt Tracker, you can do that at facebook.com/dirttracker, twitter.com/dirttracker, and the website dirttracker.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Justin_Fiedler. Obviously, have been tweeting a lot available there as we're all working from home and trying to keep up with things there. But hope everybody has a good weekend. We'll be back next week with a bunch of new shows and hopefully keep everybody entertained while we're all experiencing this downtime. Thanks for tuning in. I will see everybody next week on Dirt Tracker Daily.